months, at the end of the month, but well, that's just started from there.
Yeah, but it's also part of my job to find the interesting things. So yeah, it's also a skill maybe, but that's why I'm here. And I would like to tell you something about my profession. It's about trend research, and it's actually about the study of change and the study of the future. But of course, many people ask me, how can you research something that hasn't happened yet? You know, the future. How can you research it? But actually, we are already like researching and thinking about the future for like decades and decades. Because like in former years, we used to go to the Oracle of Delphi, you know, in the ancient Greek times, and ask the Oracle, what will my future be like? You know, will I find a loved one? How will my crops grow? Which military strategy to go to? Or we would consult like crystal ball readers and ask them about our future. So we've always been very fascinated as human beings about our future. And it would be really great if we could maybe get some more control on our future. But you know, that is kind of a like more spiritual kind of way of thinking about the future. And around the 1900s, you could already see like a more systematical kind of thinking happening in thinking about the future. So you see some examples here of studies on the future done by more scientist kind of people. And actually, after a couple of world wars, we had to do a lot of military and strategic thinking about what will be the next move of my opponent, you know, thinking about the future. We learned a lot from this, and in the 50s, at least in my country and also America, the Western European countries, we had to do a lot of rebuilding. And we started with a lot of think tanks thinking about how to rebuild our nations, how to think about the future of our nation and of the future of our cities. So this is one of the examples, like a think tank in the USA. In the 50s, you see a scientist on the left, and he's standing very proud next to his model of what the home computer would look like in 2004. So they envisioned like it could be this whole machine, but in reality it became much smaller, of course. But this is more like they try to think about what will our future look like and make all kinds of models of future situations where you can learn from. And nowadays, actually, this kind of thinking about the future in a more structured way is already integrated into like very big companies, like for instance Shell, which is like from origin a Dutch company, oil company. They do a lot of scenario planning and future research to think about, is my business still relevant in the future? What if something happens? How can we react on it and be, you know, like the first to react in a very intelligent and quick way to change and stay ahead of the competition, of course. And then people ask me, so how do you research the future? Something that hasn't happened yet. And they ask me, can you maybe predict when a trend, you know, goes mainstream, on which date it will happen, and how fast and how much money I can make out of it when I, as a brand, step into this trend? But it's not about predicting the type of research we do. It's more about, from a sociological point of view, we study change and we try to explore and imagine possible futures. So it's not about thinking about what will be the right future, but it's more about becoming more aware of the future instead of only thinking about today and your business today and maybe your target in 3 months and to get to that. Instead, and a lot of companies are really focused on their main business and they forget what's happening in the world around them. That there's a whole lot of other things going on that can influence the way they do business. So exploring the future, but the research is only a means to an end, because the goal of future research, the output, is to innovate. So it's always used for inspiration, for innovation. And how can you do this type of research? What are the methods? What are the ways to do it? Well, what we use is actually that we study change in society. So we study mindsets, behavior, new products, new services, anything that's like new, and that is So that's also why I always visit these type of events, because there are so many speakers now here who are all innovators and early adopters and have these new things about how they want to change something, change the business model, change the way we are living. And you can get so much input from what these people are doing. And we try to analyze this. Okay, they are doing now these kind of things. Why are they doing it? And what are the underlying values and motives in this? We also call it the art of looking sideways, because actually often companies ask us to give them like trend presentations or trend reports, because for them it's very hard to look outside their own doors in their own business. They are so focused on their own daily routines that they need someone else to open their mind and give them inspiration. So that's actually also the main goal why they would ask us to come. And we do a lot of field research, so we also like scan the streets, hit the streets, see what's happening there, check out new shops, new interesting places, locations, upcoming neighborhoods, and all checking what's happening over there. Street art, you know, interesting transportation modes, interesting books, can be anything. And we also do a lot of reading as trend researchers, so we scan international newspapers, like from very serious ones like the Financial Times to more lifestyle-related magazines like ID. We read a lot of books written by visionaries who have like a certain kind of interesting new ideas about our world. And check a lot of documentaries and stuff. So, and then you have a lot of information about innovations, about new things happening. And then you will have to find patterns to see like, okay, I see something new happening on the street. I heard a man at this event talk about a certain kind of topic, and I also read about it in the newspaper. What can it mean and what is it? You know, can we find some kind of underlying pattern in all these signs of change? And when we found these patterns, and we call them trends, when we found these patterns, we help businesses or governments also, we also work for non-commercial organizations, to help them apply the trends. So they are seeing like, okay, this kind of movement is happening. How can I translate it or integrate it into my own company? Can I maybe think about a new product or service related to some trend? So that's actually, in a nutshell, the profession of trend research, and it's really a job, and you get paid for it. So I always feel I'm very lucky because I can do like a lot of talking to interesting people and read a lot and gather a lot of information. So there, after this analysis, you can find patterns, and we've already like clustered these patterns and see a lot of trends happening. And I want to talk to you about just one of these, because this one is the most related to the topic we are talking about today, upcycling. Upcycling for us is like one part in living a holistically happy lifestyle. Because you were talking about Holland being the land of unconsumption. Yeah. But this trend is actually about we want to still consume stuff, you know, we don't want to get off the grid completely, and we also want a convenient, happy lifestyle. But we're getting more aware, more conscious of how our consumption pattern affects the world around us. So we try to find new ways of finding ways to still consume and use products and services, but we don't feel so guilty about the consumption. And I will show you some examples. So the pattern we found behind this is that the needs and wants of people are changing. People want to revalue their stuff more, so they're actually thinking about buying more like, should I really need a new chair or a new couch? And when I buy a new one, it should be of high quality because I want to use it much longer. You also see this happening in fashion, like you had these years of like fast fashion, like the Zara, you know, getting like new collections every 6 weeks. But you also see this new movement of slow fashion that says only buy like 5 items a year, but only very good high quality ones. And also we have a need, or an emerging need, for more transparency. So we want to know more about the process. How are these products and services, how are they made, you know? What's the background of it? And also a more interest in a local lifestyle, but still with a global mindset. So we call it global. Some examples. For instance, in my country, we have some people, they call themselves flexitarians, which means you don't want to be a hardcore vegetarian, because that is sometimes such a pain in the ass, because sometimes you just want to also eat some meat, but it doesn't have to be every day anymore. So then you can call yourself a flexitarian and go, for instance, when you don't want to eat any meat anymore, but you want something that looks like meat, you can go to the vegetarian butcher, which is like some stores in Holland. And it really looks like a normal butcher store, you know, with a transparent glass with all the meat under it. And you can find all kinds of vegetarian foods, but they look like meat and they taste like meat. So maybe you are a flexitarian or not, but maybe you are a plasticarian. So you can also say, like, some people are very much against all the packaging that's around products nowadays, you know. Yeah. You buy some stuff and it's like all plastic around it, or you order something online, you know, and you get this big box with all kinds of blown up plastic, and the thing you ordered was just this small. So what to do about all this packaging? It's so useless. So plasticarians are thinking about new ways for living this way. And then you can, for instance, go to this kind of shop, which is already in Utrecht in Holland, and you can take your own packaging. So you just take an empty bottle, or you take some empty plastic bags, and you will do your groceries from this store. You will just like put it in your own packaging, so you don't have to use less packaging or plastics. Bag and buy, it's called. And you also see movement of, because people are, you know, a bit suspicious about big companies, you know, they don't tell too much about how they make maybe food or stuff. So they said, like, okay, let's make some more indoor gardening, or even like urban farming is emerging very much in Holland right now, because then you at least know where the food is coming from, you know. While at the supermarket, you have no idea what happened to the food before it got there. And this is, for example, a restaurant in, I think it was UK, London, and everything they do is sustainable. So from the interior design to the food they produce and serve you, to the heating, to the lighting, you know, it's all like 360 sustainable kind of restaurant. So very green and very eco-friendly. You also see things happening like, should I feel guilty about driving a car? You know, it's not so good for the environment. So some people at a university in the UK, they came up with interesting solutions. So this is a poem about fresh air, and it's printed on a material that actually purifies the air, like in some kind of meters around it. So if you would drive on this street, it should be like almost 100% purified air, because they discovered this kind of material that really changes the air around it. So that's really interesting. So this is very small scale kind of solution, but how would this work if you could scale it up, you know? That would be very interesting to think about. So, and this is a project from a Dutch designer called Danys. He was in China, and there's a lot of smog in China. You know, he opened this hotel window, and there was like all fog. You couldn't see anything from the window. So he was thinking, because he's a very creative designer, he was just thinking like, can I do something with this smog? And he really got inspired by it. So he tried to capture the smog particles. You know, when you catch this air, you can find like small particles of the smog. And then he found out that when you compress it, it becomes, you can crystallize it. So it becomes like a diamond kind of structure. So what he said is like, okay, I will turn this smog into accessories, into diamond rings. So you can wear the smog. And also this example, because I'm lecturing trend research now at the design college, so I asked the students to come up with local examples of 7 projects, also this Holistically Happy one. And one of the students came up with this example, which we've already seen, because apparently it's worked by you, but I didn't know by it. But I was really impressed. I was like, oh, that's a really interesting way to think and reuse a skateboard. So you can wear your old skateboard. Also energy is of course something to feel guilty about, you know. Can I really put the heater on when it's so cold because, you know, it's not good for the environment, so should I do it? This is a new project also from Dutch nerds, the tech kind of guys. They were thinking, okay, so there are many companies who have like server parks, and these all generate a lot of heat. And then these server parks need to be cooled down because they generate so much heat. While they were thinking, can we do something with all this warmth, with all this energy generated by these servers? Can we not maybe think about why should all these servers be in one place? Maybe we can just decentralize it and put servers in individual homes. And then you could use the server as a radiator. So this is really in a very experimental phase right now, but they are already working together with a very large energy company in Holland to see if this can work. If you could do redesign and think creatively about new solutions. I also saw this example on Kickstarter. You know, you maybe always want to have the newest phone. You know, every year you will buy a new phone or it breaks down and a lot of the components you cannot use anymore. For instance, the battery, it doesn't fit into your new phone, you know, but it's still working actually. So this project at Kickstarter, these people, they thought about a way to use any kinds of old phone batteries, just put like some kind of adapter around it, and then you could use them again as a kind of recharger. So that's also about thinking creatively about reusing old, other stuff. And also big brands are tapping into the way this trend is going, so you can still buy sneakers, but then you maybe buy Adidas sneakers because they are made entirely of recycled ocean plastics. So yeah, you can still consume, but do it without feeling guilty. And actually this is also an interesting project, also made in Holland, where you could walk around the supermarket and just scan any barcode of any product, and you will get a lot of information about how good, you know, how good was it for the animal welfare, how good is it for, you know, the footprint it leaves to the world. You can, it's actually dissected in all kinds of factors. So you could check, should I buy maybe the product from the Maxima, or should I buy the same product, a different kind of product from the IKEA or whatever. It will show you via a grade which is the best product to buy. So, I won't say that it's all about unconsumption, but maybe about a different way of consumption. So, you can still go shopping, but maybe you would go shopping in carbon neutral supermarkets, you know, in the future. So that's just to show you a bit about trend research and just one of the trends that are now going on. Of course, not in the mainstream yet, but with like for front runners, just a small group of people. Yeah, so that's actually my little story. Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Who has a few questions to ask her? How long have you been staying in Vilnius?
Until next Saturday.
So you know we can reach out via Facebook